Gap compliance is a pain. Keeping track of all the necessary data and policies leads to a ton of binders and wasted time. Bounterra's compliance and task management system generates policy documents, tracks adherence to gap schemes, and ensures daily farming tasks are performed in a compliant way. Now compliance just happens as a natural part of your day-to-day work. Let's look at how that's accomplished. Here we see our various audit schemes. Initially, Bounterra supports all variations of USDA GAP. In this case, we have USDA Harmonized GAP Plus. Clicking on in, here we have our list of requirements along with their individual statuses on the left-hand side here. We can see we've got a lot of green. In fact, up at the top we can see we have 201 requirements being met. There's 202 actually total in this audit, which is quite a lot. So let's try to control this a bit with some searching and filtering. So here, for example, we see we can search for our glove policy by just typing the word glove here into the search box. And let's expand that to see a little more. So here down in the attachments section, we can see we have our glove policy document. You can attach a variety of things to audits: documents, images, logs. This saves you time during an audit by having the relevant info right where it needs to be. We can actually click on it and go right to the document. So up here at the top, we see there's a lock icon and a label that says Generated. This is a benefit of Bounterra. We generate policy documents for you, so they're guaranteed to be compliant. Back in the audit view, we can quickly see that we're mostly compliant again, with one warning, something with the status corrective action needed. We can actually filter by these as well, so let's take a look and see what needs to happen here. It looks like this is related to our self-audit. If we expand this, we can see that in addition to attachments, audit requirements can also have comments. And down here we can see actually that Bounterra, the app itself, left a helpful comment, and it does this generally in certain cases to help you keep things up to date and compliant. So here it looks like we haven't scheduled a self-audit yet, and here it asks us if we'd like to schedule one. So let's click on this and see what happens. We're taken over to our tasks, and right away we are prompted to schedule a self-audit. So down here you can see we can add some things like a description. Tasks can also have attachments. We'll talk about that in a second. But all we would need to do here really is come over here, select a date, maybe next week at the time of this recording sounds good. And we'll have our self-audit scheduled and ready to go. You notice that everything here is happening in context and it feels really natural. And that's because it should. Compliance is really just part of running your farm on the day-to-day. It shouldn't be this extra burdensome requirement, or at least that's our view. So speaking of tasks, the everyday activity on your farm determines its compliance. So we provide tools to help you manage tasks in a compliant way. So what we're looking at here is actually the management overview that shows the tasks scheduled and active for everyone on the farm. There's a more focused view meant for those out in the field that just shows the tasks for that particular person, which we'll take a look at momentarily as well. So let's take a look at some of the tasks here on our task board. So first of all, let's see here. It looks like there might have been some possible withering here in block CL115. And so down here you can notice that there are a couple different sections here for each task. So we've got a description. Looks like there was some potential withering by the galas here. Very helpfully, tasks can also have attachments. And we see here a picture of the suspected withering, so we can kind of get a look at it before we actually physically go out there. We also have a location that we can set down here as well. You can see here that we actually have block CL153 highlighted on our map. And then down below here, we also have some comments that can be made, especially helpful for communicating throughout the day on the farm. And it looks like Anna here checked it out already, and it turns out it was a false alarm. There were just some already dead plants piled up there in the corner. Which makes sense, since that task coming back out here was actually in the done column. So that's kind of a one-off task, especially in that case. That was an issue that cropped up throughout the day. But what about procedures? Things like routine vehicle maintenance, for example, things of that nature. So Bounterra handles this with a tool we call procedures. And procedures are really just a set of steps for those routine type of tasks that happen on the farm. In this case here, we've got our change oil on Dodge Ram task right here, and let's click into that. And we can see that anytime there's routine maintenance performed on a vehicle, we're going to get this checklist here since it's part of the vehicle routine maintenance procedure. And here we see that we need to purchase the necessary parts and upload the receipt. We also need to, of course, perform and log the maintenance. So we can see here that we already did purchase those parts and upload the receipt down here in the attachments. Now all that's left to do is actually perform and log this maintenance. So let's put this all together and see how this would kind of work in an actual day-to-day scenario. So continuing with our change oil on the Dodge Ram example, the first thing we would do is, as the farm manager, would be going over here to our procedures section and checking out the routine vehicle maintenance procedure. So coming in here, we can see what we were talking about, where step one is always purchasing the necessary parts and uploading the receipt. And we're able to set requirements down here. So in this case, we want the person performing this to actually upload the receipt. So we require that down here as a file upload. We could actually add other ones if we wanted to. And then below that, of course, we have to perform and log the actual maintenance. And so there's another type of requirement we can have here, which is a log entry. And we have that selected along with the log itself, which in this case is the Dodge Ram maintenance log, since we're changing the oil on the Dodge Ram. So now that we've taken a little bit of a look at how a procedure works, let's back out over here and head back to that task screen. And then we're actually going to pull up a side-by-side view of what this looks like out in the field. And this is where that My Day view comes in here. And so we can see here that our day only actually has one task, and it is in fact to change the oil on this Dodge Ram. And so we're going to come in here and actually do that. And so we've got the receipt already uploaded. Let's actually log that maintenance. So we'll say that we have performed it here, and we're going to put in oil change. This would be very easy to do out in the field from your phone since everything's already in one place here. And look at that. With that, this is complete. And then now back in our management view over here, we can see that this task has moved over to the done column, and we're going to expect to see that data in our log. So let's come back over here, and we see that our Dodge Ram maintenance log does in fact have 2 entries. So let's pop in here, and look at that. Looks like we changed out the alternator in August, and here today we have performed the oil change. So our log was automatically up to date here. Everything is kept track of for us. Now let's bring this all the way back to compliance and see how this applies to our audits. So back here in USDA Harmonized Gap Plus, I happen to remember that this requirement has the word repair in it. And we note that here under vehicle equipment, tools, and utensils, this mentions that all of those things are in good repair and not a source of contamination of produce. And we can see here that the log is in fact attached. And so, once again, an auditor, ourselves, anyone in the future is going to be able to click in there and see the log, once again, with everything in context. And so you can see here, this was real simple, exactly how it should be. Bounterra helps you manage your farm, manage your compliance in an easy and natural way. We're just getting started. To learn more, head over to bounterra.io.